Yeah, the Detroit Pistons need to take advantage of a crucial mistake by the Chicago Bears. We're going to go in depth about the mistake they just made. They re-signed Kyler Gordon, making him the highest paid slot corner in the league for a guy that, quite frankly, has been okay and injury prone. With all of that said, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to bring back a ghost of the Lions past, and I was shocked at how recently he actually played for us. And I'm going to talk about how I view this signing in a similar light for the Bears, and then I'm actually going to spend the back half of this video talking about the Pistons. Let's go. Let's talk Detroit basketball a little bit. We used to cover them all the time on this channel, and then the views just stopped. They're in the playoffs. Let's talk about it on the back end of this video. But first, we are going to talk Lions football, or kind of by closeness. Anyways, answer me this question as we're talking about Kyler Gordon signing a 3-year extension. Who's the worst free agent signing that the Lions have ever had? Like, what was the biggest oops? We've talked about the best, but what about the biggest yikes? That is not good moment. So they have a contract extension with Kyler Gordon that is very high. I think it's 3 years, $40 million. It makes him the largest paid nickel slot corner, whatever you want to call it, and he will be under contract through 2028. He played in 15 games last year, 13 starts. Here's the thing. 5 passes defended. Look at this. 4 tackles for loss and 3 fumble recoveries in 13 games in 2023. He had 2 picks and 6 passes defensed. He established himself as one of the game's best slot corners, and this contract is paying him that way. Okay, but has he? When I look at Kyler Gordon, what I see is a guy who via PFF was a 76 last year, a 65 the year before, and a 49 before that. This is a guy who doesn't create a large amount of turnovers. And I understand turnovers are hard to come by out of the nickel position. I get that. He's not small, which is good. But at the same time, you're going to pay this guy large money. There was another time I remember a team making a cornerback the largest paid player. And I did a little research on this. Let's go ahead and read this AI overview. The highest paid nickel cornerback in the NFL in 2025 is Kyler Gordon, 3-year, $40 million contract. The deal includes almost $32 million in guaranteed money, making him the highest paid quarterback in the league. The Detroit Lions' highest paid nickel corner in the past was Justin Coleman, who signed a 4-year, $36 million deal in 2019. Raise your hand if you're old enough to remember Justin Coleman. That's not that long ago. How did that work out for us? And when I go to PFF, and I look at the numbers that he put up prior to coming to the Motor City, guess what? Shockingly similar. Look at this. When he was in Seattle, about the same amount of snaps in that 600-something range, almost the exact same grade. Comes to Detroit, year 1, we're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I love what he's doing. And then his career just went away from there. He was a year older than Kyler Gordon was, but still, oh my goodness. I think the Lions need to take advantage of this. This is the kind of stuff when you sign a 3-year extension for a guy like this. All right, so it's this year plus the next 3 years. You are going to start running into the contract extensions of rookies, of players. It's going to start preventing you from signing new free agents. That's not good. All right. These are the kind of things, if we had re-signed a corner to a large amount of money, we would have been frustrated. This is the not bringing back Carlton Davis. That's what we decided to do because we realized there. But if you look at the Bears roster, I want to just give you a second here. Everybody talks about how good the Bears roster is. When I look at the Bears roster, as you look at the Bears roster, do you see anything remarkable here? Especially on the defensive side of the football. Jalen Johnson, great corner. Kyler Gordon, good nickel corner. They're very high. They're very well compensated for their work. All right? Sweat, very well compensated. I don't see anybody here that is playing at a level where they are getting a bargain of a contract. For the Detroit Lions, you have bargain contracts all over the field. Whether it's Aiden Hutchinson, whether it was Penei Sewell, whether it was even Frank Ragnow was a bargain on his contract, all right? Like, you look at all these guys that were bargain deals on their contract. Jack Campbell, our entire secondary is a bargain at their price. I don't see anyone on this roster that is just a straight bargain, and that is what gives you a glass ceiling. Is you don't have those contracts where you're getting a lot more value than what you're paying. That's the difference between teams that finish 15-2 and teams that finish at the bottom. That's the difference. And that's the thing that Poles, their GM, hasn't proven he can do yet. All right. I want to talk Detroit Pistons for a second. I've watched a ton of Pistons basketball this year, as I do every year. And I know a lot of us grew a little bit tired of watching them lose and lose and lose, but here they are under J.B. Bicker's staff, and they're starting to win. We all thought this was the year that we didn't think it would come together like this. Right? So last year you bring in what supposedly was the best coach in the NBA. You sign him to a long-term contract only to have to run him out of town because he did such a bad job. You bring in J.B. Bicker's staff, who is well-respected around the league, but you didn't necessarily think he was better. And it turns out, oh my goodness, is he. Cade has thrived. Everybody is playing better. Jalen Duren finally decides that he's going to wear ankle braces so he doesn't sprain an ankle every fifth game. And what you see is this team staying healthier, and you see this team getting better. And they get a matchup against the New York Knicks, a team that they were 3-1 against in the regular season. Now, regular season and NBA playoffs, entirely different monster. This is a Knicks squad that has a ton of experience that I think is very good across the board. But this is a hungry Pistons team. And I think they take this one at least 6 games, maybe to the full 7. I'm just excited to see what happens. The Pistons team, I wouldn't call it sputter at the end. They didn't sputter. They just weren't perfectly healthy at the end. And so I'm very interested in this to see what version of Cade Cunningham are we going to get. Are we going to get mid-season form Cade Cunningham, or are we going to get, hey, it's time to knock a little rust off Cade Cunningham? Are we going to see Malik Beasley, that was the second in the league in three-pointers made this year, or are the Knicks going to do a good enough job of running him off the ball and leaving open other guys like Asar Thompson to shoot threes? It was funny when you listen to all the national guys talk about this series. They were saying the key for the Knicks is going to be to leave Detroit's non-shooters wide open, a.k.a. Asar Thompson, because that is honestly about our only non-shooter at this point. Ron Holland, I think, can knock him down, all right? By the way, Ron Holland is going to be very good at basketball. He's going to be very good at basketball. And you can see it in his game. His release is good. He's just a rookie. The game is still slowing down. You can see games where it does and games where it doesn't. But he has great athleticism. We're going to run. And I think when you look at us compared to the Knicks, they have established players, but I wouldn't necessarily say better players. And then I think the biggest superstar on the floor is Cade Cunningham. Sure, Karl Anthony Towns, crybaby, right? Like, you're going to see it a ton in this series. Jalen Brunson is a remarkable point guard, but he has physical limitations. I don't hate the Pistons in this series. Let me know. What do you think? Pistons, Knicks, how many games? That's what I want to know. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk more Pistons as we just float stuff at the end. All right, see you on the next one.